This neighborhood used to be a closed neighborhood when I moved in. That means that the police will come in here only to pick up whatever was left there after, like gun shootings or loud music or you name it. It also means that we had no pizza delivery.
No pizza delivery.
Because it was a high crime neighborhood. So when finally we cleaned it up with the help of the neighbors and Papa John's decided to have a pizza delivery, we had a little party just to celebrate that now we were open and now we were back on business to be a nice neighborhood.
So, and what you're saying is the police would not come back here on patrol?
They will not patrol it, they will not. For example, better if I give you some. The sample was music, loud music and like loud parties. You will call in and the dispatchers even will tell you, hey, if you don't like the neighborhood, then why don't you move out? And so we started reacting to that, to no, if you're here and we want peace and quiet, we would like you to do something, not to call and argue with the dispatchers, you know, about what is or it isn't what you can stand on. And the neighbors next door to the south in that house used to have parties with live bands and live mariachi bands and norteño bands from 1 o'clock in the afternoon Friday to 6 o'clock in the morning Monday. And they were non-stop, and they were loud parties with about, you know, 200-300 people in the house. We had parking problems, gate problems, you name it. And so I used to come over and talk to them and says, hey, look, please, I mean, we need to go to sleep for what they care. They used to call them rent parties, and they usually also were to get bigger parties by the end of the month.
What did they call them? Rent parties?
Rent parties.
Why were they called rent parties?
Because it was to collect money to pay the rent.
And so what did they say to you when you asked them to shut it down?
I had the gentleman told me, either you're going to like the music until you're going to whistle and dance with us, or you're going to bum it because we're going to just crank it up. Because they knew the police will not show up. So then we started going as neighbors to the police solving meetings. We did a wonderful partnership with them, and then we started fixing up the neighborhood to what it is now. So now you see that, you know, the homes are beginning to be, you know, mostly good. People tell us, hey, this side of the street looks good. But it has taken from 1997 to now 16 years of constant work and constant partnership with code enforcement, with the council member, with the police, to be able to have somewhat quality of life to the point that we have it now.
And you talked about something like 42 houses that you had declared as nuisance houses?
Yes.
So when you declare a house a nuisance house, what does that mean?
It is a process that goes through court. And the process is that we need to document. For example, those houses with the party, like I was telling you previously, we would call the police, we will say, well, either you show up or don't show up. If it is not a priority, or if it is a priority, then I need you to give me an incident number, which they have to give you. And we began logging all those. How the neighbors felt about the music, the parking, the intrusion into your life of all this nuisance. And then we will have public meetings, because the process requires for you to have a public process to allow those who are a nuisance to come out and says, hey, we will not do it anymore. And you know, they need.
What happened with your neighbors when they were declared a nuisance? Did they come to the meeting?
We got the process. They didn't. Some of them don't come to the meetings. But then what we do is that we go to small claims court and we file a complaint. 42 times we have filed complaints that have gone to mediation. Because when the purpose is that we get signatures and to get the minimum grant by the court, let's say, awarded to each individual, right now is $7,500. Before
$7,500 per person who complains?
Per person who complains. And parents can complain for the kids. So we will get signatures enough to be more than the price of the house, to be able to have the leverage with the owner or the property owner to say, hey, if we go to court and we can prove this, because here is, you know, you have to do discovery in court. Here are the complaining, here is the police response, the call of services, and boo boo, blah blah, code, you name it. So we will build up a court that's, you know, will hold water in court. It says here it is. And if we get granted the petition, then the court will sell your house and divide the money of the sale among all these people. And when they see that it was more money than in signatures collected, more than what the house value was, then they would, you know, kick tenants out, fix the house, sell the houses. So many of the houses, for example, the house at the corner, that house, one gang member that was called Indio used to live there with his family, and he will paint graffiti and do whatever they do. And so when we finally cornered the absentee landlord that used to live in the Bay Area, then he sold it real cheap because he wanted to just get his money back and go. We have no interest on getting, you know, the neighbor's property or the money. For us, it's more valuable to have the peace and quiet and live like decent humans than to have some money in the bank that sooner or later is going to go on repairs or your neighbor.
So how did it work out for your old neighbors that used to have these big parties when you approached them the same way? Did they?
They quiet down because they were homeowners. And so they thought the idea that hey, look, and they didn't quiet down after a couple of police raids. There was when the police responded to one party, because since they have the dormers, they were able to see the police coming down the street. See, so they put lookouts in all the dormers, and they were able to see around it from the second floor. So when the police car was approaching, they'll quiet the music down, and they will hide the people down in the basement or wherever on the back of the house. Police, well, there's no problem. The guy is crazy next door, but then the police, with our help, I needed to make, and the neighbors on the apartment needed to make tapes of the noise. They come to the police solving meetings to say, this is what we hear, that when you get there, finally they stage the house for you to see that there's no problem. But when we finally caught them, a helicopter was here, we had a van from the police. They confiscated all the musicians' instruments because it was so much complaining from all of us around. So then they began to see that we were serious. Then they really quiet down the music, the drug selling, the traffic, because they used to human traffic with illegal aliens as well. And so everybody, all the corporations started dumping into the neighborhood to be able to clean the neighborhood. Usually it takes one good house that you're going to spank them good to be able to get the other ones to say, hey, they're meaning business, better if we, you know, behave instead of, you know, joining the bandwagon or doing whatever it is that they're doing. So we have done that. Now it is just like you see it now. Quiet, no dogs barking, no music, no loud music.
Except for the garbage trucks.
Except for the garbage trucks. There you go.